video. And before I forget, I'm not a financial advisor, and this is not financial advice. This is for entertainment and educational purposes only. If you like the video, definitely do a thumbs up and subscribe. It helps out the Google, YouTube, um, programming stuff in the background, blah blah blah. You get the whole idea. And definitely put some comments if you did buy more AMC today. I have been holding off because I think that we are going to go a little bit lower, honestly. And I don't want to be the bearer of bad news. But let's get into the video and let's get to all the stuff here. The AMC shorts is at 20%. I even tweeted out talking about how it is at over 20%. And I can't believe what we need to see. And honestly, is this right here going into a 99%. Now, that said, you can see last time we did do this, and I can't get it in there. I don't know why it's you can see it's at 90%. It was almost at 100%. So once we get into that area, and you can see it got to 100% right in here as well. We are down at 80% here. We need to get we need to get it up higher. I don't know if the data is correct. Keep in mind, this data is, we don't know if it's correct or not. And when this stuff does get recounted, they rechart it. So we don't know what was really happening at that time, if you get what I'm saying. Because they redo the data, putting on the old data. So at the time, it could have been at 75. It could have been at 80%. We have no idea. Somebody did bring up about the estimation of short interest, and if you come down here and we'll scroll through to right here, that is almost exactly the same amount of shares are shorted. It's very similar. And if you even scroll down even before that, we'll go into, did I messed up right here? This is in the January last year. Well, you can see it was not that many shares that were getting shorted. Why that jump went up, that to 22. Interesting. Does this mean anything? Does this mean we're going to have a squeeze tomorrow? No, we're just seeing the data. We're just looking at everything. And what I see onto everything is it's getting higher and higher. That means the shorts are putting more and more money into it. So whatever is happening in the background, it is definitely having more shorts are buying into this. That is the whole purpose of the short squeeze. We even have the SEC is now considering, and they're talking about next week, I hear, and put some comments in here about if it is true. It's next week. We're supposed to be, they will be having everyone who's has to report how much short interest they are putting into the market. That would be awesome if it is true. I've been reading articles, and I don't know if this is going to be next week. I heard somebody saying that. I think it's a little bit pretty soon for everything going in, but maybe they have been planning on this for a while. Okay, let's get into the charts. So, the charts on the daily chart, and I even said how we had that buy signal that was Friday. I was going to say Monday. And then Tuesday, you've seen us dropping right down to it. And today, we had a higher low. So, are we done? I don't think so, because I think we're still trying to fill in that gap. And I think they're doing that purpose. I think they're slowly putting us down to that gap because they want to make sure that once we get to that gap, we're losing. It's going to be done for this week. This whole week is a big, huge thing because of the option play. And that's a big, huge thing. But I think once we get down to that gap, we're going to fulfill and we are going to shoot back up. Let's go into the 30-minute chart. Now, we have started to make a little wedge right in here, getting right to this point, and then will we start shooting up? That is going to be an indication we're going to start moving upwards. And a lot of people have been, I was just looking at this, comparing the BBIG, and I don't know, I haven't really looked into it much, but it looks very consistently up and down. A lot of things are going on there. But if you look at, I think if you take the BBIG, this pullback right here is right here, and then it starts coming down, and then you can see it heading right in here. So very similar into this part, and it looks like we're going to hit a lower low right here and then bump up. So that's I even think that's what's going to happen. Very similar. It's going to be bumping right in here, and you can sort of see it's almost really exactly bumps right in here and bumps that. Oops, sorry. Are we going to do that? I don't know, but once it hit this point, it had a shot out, and that indication to me, I think that could possibly be. And once we shoot out, maybe we're at the 22, and then it shoots out. Looks to me like we're starting to get into, you can see we're starting to move. Our indicator showing it's starting to move. The RSI is saying that we're going to start flipping into a bullish area. So that's a good sign. Now, let's get into this here. This is a 7,000 shares for shorting. I don't, where are these guys getting this stuff? Where are they getting it? I don't get that, because they're getting more and more shares to short. Meanwhile, this over here, over here, it's just basically saying they're buying more. But over here, they're saying that there's more shares to short. To me, that is the reason why the SEC needs to basically make a rule. They have to point out what they are shorting, who's shorting what. That is a big, huge deal. If this comes true, this is going to be huge. This is going to be a big thing. The daily for the 5-minute candles, we're seeing it had a strong indication to a strong uptrend. It really odd. Tell me if you guys put it in the comments. Have you noticed right in the beginning, right when the bell opened, it just sat there. Just sat there. It just didn't know what to do. It was just sitting there. It was like waiting for something. And I was waiting for something for like a while. I was like, wow, that's crazy. The shorts were like, we want to short it, but we can't short it because it has the SSR, and so we can't short it right now. You guys have to buy a share. So it's just sat there. That's what I got out of it. Crazy. But my prediction is we're going to start coming back down here again tomorrow, and I think it's going to be buy. We're going to see a lot of people starting to just pile in, and I have money on the side going to pile in more and buy more shares. I'm looking at that. So I'm looking to have this low, and I'm just going to be piling in more shares. I think that's going to be happening, and I think we're going to see this going up higher. Here's another interesting, with the RSI, you see it hitting the bottom, a double bottom, and it did the exact same thing over here. Are we going to shoot up? The one thing that I would have to kudos to her on basically bringing this data out there. The one thing, it did move upwards, but it didn't shoot up. It just went to the 50 and then it stopped. That's cool. Let's look at unusual whales. Unusual whales is basically coming out and saying we are pretty much very bearish. There's like a lot of bears coming into this. And let's see what we have here. We're having a mix of bears and bulls. Very much of a mix. You can see how much of a mix that is. Now, let's get into the whole options. Now, that is a lot of options that are still in the money. You can see that are still in the money. What a lot of people are doing, and I have to say, just go back to the unusual whales here. A lot of people are buying the 145, and if you get the 145, you're definitely making a lot of money off of that. But the risk onto having the 145 getting into the money is very, very slim to none. That's the reason why it's like a lottery ticket. You're just buying a lottery ticket onto this. So that said, when you buy into options, make sure, and I do buy the 145, but if it's coming to expiring date, I usually try to get rid of it before it's just pointless. It's useless. It doesn't have anything. Have I lost money in options? Yes, I have. But you know what? What you have to realize, a guy, he's not into this play, but he told me what you need to know on an option is a option buy in the money. That's what he always does. He buys in the money. It guarantees that he's not losing that much. And it doesn't deteriorate that fast. And it's really true. When you buy in the money, it doesn't deteriorate that fast, and you are guaranteed to have, well, not guaranteed, you are more likely to have your options being into the money because you already bought it into the money. That said, now what happens if you buy it into the money and then it drops down? You basically lose a lot of money, and now you lost a lot of money and you're hoping it goes back into the money. So if you're going to be buying options, make sure you get to a strike price that is reasonable, that you think it's going to happen. And why I'm saying that is $20. There's a huge amount of money going in there. $19, 21. This one, it's a gamble, very risky. 22. That one is not a gamble. It's a it's a little bit cheaper. 25. You're looking at an 18. Now 18, you're still in the money right now. So why I'm saying bringing all this stuff up, because this is how the shorts are basically pushing us down. They are buying, and you can see it. They're buying puts for the 18, puts for 17, puts for 16, puts for 19, puts for 15, puts for 13. They are buying tons of puts, and that's their leverage. They are leveraging onto the options, and that's how they are doing. When I heard people saying don't buy options, it's like, that's bullcrap. just don't buy options that you don't believe it's going to be out of the money. Don't buy a huge amount out of the money, like the 145. Yes, you're throwing it to the market makers. You're throwing it to those hedge funds. That is what you're doing. But if you're getting it close to the market and the 22, the 19, 18, the 18, well, your deterioration onto that 18 is less than the deterioration onto the 19. Right now, the 19 is probably higher because it's out of the money. So why I'm bringing this up, if you're going to bring and play the AMC game, you need to really look at getting it closer to options that are closer into the money or close to the money. Just don't waste your money onto these 145 and things like that. So, not financial advice, but just telling you. And that is how the market would be pushing this up, because once you buy the 18, now the market maker has to go out and buy 100 shares of AMC because that is in the money. And then, but the 19 is sort of in the money. It's not in the money, but they have to leverage it. And once it gets in the money, then they leverage it. They buy the shares. So why I'm saying that is how the apes can move this. And when you hear people saying don't buy options, is very much bullcrap. We are fighting for these options right now. And if we can get to the 21, that is a strike price. I wonder if I have that for the unusual whales. So yeah, it gets on to, so you're looking at 30. Sorry, I am not really well familiar with unusual whales data, but it is really good. I do recommend. It has really good data on here. I won't hold you up. That said, we really need to try to get back to the 20. But tomorrow, I think we're going to drop. And I'm just being very blunt on that part. But my point is, when we drop, and hopefully we drop down to the gap filled, once we drop to the gap filled, I could see us squeezing back up and pushing. There's going to be a lot of money waiting for that gap fill. And then they're going to say, okay, I'm in, because that gap filled got filled now. I feel more comfortable. And now they will start buying. That said, definitely like, subscribe, and put anything in the comments onto what you think. If was I hearing the information right onto the SEC onto next week? They're talking about making it mandatory onto anyone. They have to report their shorts. Okay, blah blah blah, and peace out.